Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be starting my 2024 content for the new season. I'm going to be joined by Kappa, who is going to talk through some of the items as well. And let's get into it. So to begin with, Iceborn Gauntlet has been changed. It's no longer a mythic. That is the case with a lot of the new items. And it's been quite heavily nerfed. So it's 300 gold down in cost. It's lost 200 health in return. It's lost 5 ability haste. And on top of this, it also no longer has the additional twice as powerful slow, or the reducing 10% damage against the main target, which is a pretty big thing. So what's your thoughts?
I would say that it's pointless building this item, realistically. A lot of tanks would build it, in my opinion, for the 10%, reduction in damage to help you against lane. And I don't know, for 300 gold, you're losing half the health and 5 ability haste with the reducing damage. I think this item's pretty pointless to be building, in my
Yeah.
personal opinion.
I mean, fair enough. I think that maybe Cassante will still build it, as he was, like, the best abuser of this item. We might see, like, Alawi possibly, and Malphite still build this item, as the armor hasn't been adjusted. I think those are, like, the cases where we might still see it. Maybe some other, like, tank niche cases, like, maybe Tahm Kench, as he might find lots of value in the slow, now that he's no longer gatekept to a single mythic, and he can now have Iceborn and Heartsteel, which are both decent options on him. So that would be interesting to see. Moving on. Yep, Wits End, 400 gold cheaper, which is pretty nice. In turn, it's losing all of its AD, so that 40 goes to 0. It's gaining 15% attack speed, 10 magic resist, and 20% tenacity. And the Frey is also losing 20 movement speed for 2 seconds on hit, which is something. It's not as valuable, but it's definitely a chase mechanic, which it is losing. Alright, so thoughts on this?
I think this is a good change, personally. I think a lot more champions that it was iffy to build on now actually can utilize it really well, especially that tenacity. I think that tenacity is huge. Losing the AD, plus, you know, it being 400 gold cheaper is fine because you get that 20% tenacity, which I think, again, is really huge. Plus the 15% increase in attack speed and the 10 increase in magic resist is still just huge on the item. I think Wits End is going to be really broken next season,
Yeah.
personally.
I could definitely see some, like, laners being able to really abuse this item into, like, high CC AP champions. Alongside that, like, a champion which kind of comes to mind is Viego, because he has good attack speed scaling within his kit, and the tenacity would be really nice on him. So that might be someone who can abuse this item with how cheap it is as, like, a second, third option. Be interesting to see what his main kind of like standard core is now, though. Moving on, Eclipse is losing all of its lethality. Well, it's going down in 300 cost. It's losing all of its lethality, but in turn it is gaining 10 attack damage. The haste is staying the same. The movement speed is completely gone off this item now, but the damage is going up from 6 to 3 to 8 to 4. And the shield is also gaining a 5% AD ratio. So, not too bad. That's a lot of AD, though.
Yeah. Wait, you know how it says here plus 35% bonus and then plus 17.5?
Yeah.
Are those two separate or are they together?
That would be separate. That would be melee range.
Okay. I think overall, still a really good item. A huge AD, assassins will actually benefit really well from this. Even if you lose the lethality, I think some like hyper like ability spamming champions will still be able to use this really well. So I think it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not bad, and the additional like bonus physical damage, still a really good item. Not as good, but I still think it's very strong.
I mean, I'll be interested to see how good this item is on Aatrox. Something like 70 attack damage seems kind of nuts as an item, especially with the AD ratio buffs on its Q. That could be interesting.
Yeah, some champions will actually just dominate lane really early with Eclipse.
Yeah,
A lot of
and
adjustments will be needed.
maybe like Yorick possibly, but then losing the lethality kind of hurts on him as well. So it'll be interesting to see like the champions which just benefit from a lot of AD, but then don't care so much about the lethality. Briar will be a huge beneficiary of this, I imagine. As she is slowly having her kit pushed towards more magic damage. So that'll be interesting to see. More is staying completely the same. They a while ago changed it from Omnivamp to Lifesteal. Hasn't been as strong since, but still a good option into high AP assassin burst. So still a decent option. Chempunk is losing 10 of ability haste. You can continue. What are you gonna say?
No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Okay. But yeah, 10 ability haste off Chempunk, which is so weird because this item isn't great in its current state. Like, not a lot of champs pick this up, and losing 10 ability haste just makes it even less favorable. So I don't really know what the plan with that one is.
Yeah, no, I agree. That item is just pointless. Even building it now feels terrible, and to reduce 10 ability haste, oof,
Yeah.
that's gonna hurt.
Like, Chempunk was good when it was 2.5k gold as a rush optional certain champs because it was just a stat stick. Like, you built it as a good stat baseline item. Ever since they nerfed it to 2.8k, no one really builds it that much unless they are the only source of, like, good anti-heal on the team. And even then, healing isn't particularly high in the game at the moment, so I don't know. This is a miss, in my opinion. Manamune staying completely the same, which, I mean, fine. I think this item's not bad. I think it has good cases. Of course, like, Ezreal is its most known user. AP Kaiser also pretty known for using it. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. A lot of the assassins have had their base mana pools increased to such a degree that they don't really need Manamune, but can still use it as an option. So I guess that's something. So Deadman's is being changed. It no longer slows on attack for 50%, but it has the movement speeds, the movement slowing effects is reduced by 25%, which is alright. Like, it's definitely better for ranged champions now. Not that many ranged champions really built this item. I can think of maybe Argot as being like a niche example of a champion which might start picking this up now that this has an actual value instead of like a slow which didn't matter because it was melee locked. I'm trying to think of what else. Like, I mean, Singe still probably builds this. Udyr, another
I
example.
mean, most champs that would build it would only build it to chase again. They don't really care about the slow because most of them already have a slow in their kit. Like, I would think of like maybe Udyr who would build it as well. Like, most of them just want the movement speed and an extra 25% that would stop them from getting slowed is huge in my opinion. I think this item will be really big next season among a couple champions. The slow is
Yeah.
alright. It was niche again. Most champions that would build it already had a slow in their kit, so they don't really care if they lose it. But the 25% is huge. Getting a swiftness boost passive on it is huge in my opinion.
Yeah. So Terminus is a new item. It has 40 attack damage and 33% attack speed for 3k gold, which is a pretty bad stat line. Like, this is not 3k gold worth, even with the 30 magic on hit. The unique passive it has, though, is its juxtaposition, which gives different stats based on whether it's a light attack or a dark attack, which are on hit variations. So light attacks grant armor and magic resist, and dark attacks grant armor penetration and magic penetration. I look at this item, and the only champion I can really think of is Varus. Like, I don't know. It sounds really, really strong on Varus, and maybe like Cogmore and Twitch as niche examples.
Like, can you choose whether it's light or dark, or is it just random?
I think it alternates on each attack.
Yeah, I think all the ADCs will be liking this item, because the extra armor resist as well is actually huge.
Yeah, but you want to stack it up, and like a lot of the ADCs don't care about on hit. There's a decent amount of crit ADCs, so I think it'll only be used by on hit marksmen, which actively can like comfortably stack it up and make use of the armor and magic pen, which would be like Varus and Cogmore.
Yeah, Kog'Maw, Ashe as well, I would say.
Really? I don't know. I don't think Ashe is great on hit at the moment. You're very much looking at the Triforce or IE builds as being her core ones. When on hit Ashe was good, then yeah, I could have definitely seen it, but in her current state, probably not. Yeah, I think this is very much tied to like yeah, your Varuses, your Cogmores, your Twitches. I'm trying to think of any I mean, could Aurelia use this? Or is this just not enough durability?
Looks really shit. Yeah, you don't get durability.
Right.
No resist, and not just that. Like, I don't know, the attack speed just doesn't justify the 3,000. Even with like the armor and magic resist, I can't really justify building this for 3k gold when you can build something else that synergizes better with like Bork or Wits End.
I think if it had upfront durability, then it would definitely be more favorable on a lot of like Bruiser champions. But because it's stacking, like you don't just instantly get access to this, then I think it's kind of awkward to like to use. But then I mean, this stacks up against minions and stuff, so like if you're looking to like stack it up and then trade in, maybe that is an option. for like
Then the
huge amounts of
opponent
money.
can see that you're stacking up. It's the same with like
Yeah,
when they see a rally getting stacks, right? It's just you could see someone stacking it up, and at that point you just don't engage.
yeah,
Obviously, that can offer a lot of pressure in lane, so it just depends on how you use it and how the team comp's looking like.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
So another new item, experimental hexplate, which gives 55 attack damage, 20% attack speed, 300 health, and you gain 30 haste on your ultimate. This is a lot more favorable of a stat line in my opinion, for sure. Like compared to this, same price as well. And overdrive after casting your ultimate, gain 35% attack speed and 50% movement speed for 8 seconds, which also really nice for a decent plethora of champions.
yeah, this is huge. This is a very nice item. I can see many champions building this and actually benefiting from it a lot. This is actually a very nice item. I'm excited for it next season.
Yeah.
Woo.
I mean, first one comes to mind is obviously Nocturne. Like, this is just a perfect
Yeah,
Nocturne item. I could see other champions which synergize with, like, their ultimate, like, Viego, for example, can use this. Like, the stat line's good for him. 30 ability haste on your ultimate is pretty good. Other
Jax
champions,
as
would,
well can
I
use
mean, yeah,
this.
Jax synergizes quite well with his ultimate. Just a lot of the beatdown bruisers, which like really utilize attack speed and their ultimates. Uh, some of the four horsemen can use this, obviously. I could see Aurelia being pretty decent with this. Um,
I think Olaf would benefit from this
oh yeah,
massively. I think
Olaf.
it's one of his best items now, in my opinion. Is
Yeah,
that movement speed
definitely.
and the attack speed.
I don't see it so much being a Darius item. You don't tend
Yeah,
to care
Darius.
about ulti haste
Yeah,
and the attack speed, but yeah, definitely Olaf. Warwick maybe. I mean, seems like a pretty good stat line for Warwick.
Warwick. Yeah, maybe
Uh,
Gwen. I don't know. It just depends on
with the AD.
if they change Gwen, because I think they might
Nah,
change it.
never. If this was AP, then yeah, for sure. But like, it's the same kind of thing when Gwen got released. Like people were trying out AD builds. It's just not good. Yeah, Gwen's in a
Yeah,
good
fair.
spot at the moment. So yeah. Hullbreaker completely changed. Honestly, stat line is pretty different with more AD, less health. The base health regen is gone. We've got 5% movement speed, which has carried over, and the passive is completely changed. So it now does more damage against towers. Every fifth basic attack against a champion and epic monsters deals bonus physical damage, increased to a like triple, I believe. I'm not reading that. Like double. Wait. Plus. Wait. The ratios don't match up with the. So what? It's double the health ratio, but then the base AD ratio has a different scale of like 2.8 or something. So I mean,
Yeah. I mean, the item's alright. I mean, it's not gonna be as powerful as it was before, but
no.
I think it's still very strong. Like if for some certain champions that can use
Scion.
this.
I think Scion is the main champion which is going to use this. Like, this
Yeah.
seems broken on Scion.
Durations. Yeah.
80 ratios, attack damage, health, health scaler on it as well. Like, when he was already a decent, like, split push Hullbreaker user. Yeah, I think this is, like, the perfect Scion item. I mean, I still see things like Fiora using it, for, maybe, like, a third, fourth slot option. If you're looking for a bit more siege potential, definitely. So Cleaver is going down 100 gold in cost. It is gaining 5 AD. It is losing 10 ability haste. The carved armor reduction is going down to a cap of 24%. And the rage is no longer... Okay, so it's now 20 movement speed for 2 seconds instead of stacks of carve, which would be 6 stacks of 3, so 18 movement speed. So in total, it's, I would argue, better.
Really, I would say it's a nerf to be honest. That 10
Really?
ability haste hurts it, yeah, and the armor reduction as well. I think these are all very like important stats that people would build cleaver for.
I
Like armor reduction and ability haste is huge in my
I
opinion.
I would disagree honestly. I think the 100 gold cost going down, so you get access to it more earlier. 5 more AD, so you're gaining a bit more damage. Yeah, you're losing 10 ability haste, that does hurt. And you're losing a bit of the carve damage, but you're getting the movement speed just straight up whenever you attack someone. So you are feeling that movement speed instantly. So I think it's better as an option.
I think if it was 100 gold less, I would agree a little bit more with you. Like if it was 2,900, but I don't know for 3,000. I don't know. I guess we can agree to disagree on that one.
I mean, maybe in like circumstances where you're really capable of stacking up that carve armor reduction, then it is like enough. In those circumstances, but a lot of the time, if you can't get the full stat, or like if you're bursting down like quick enough and you're getting it like within the first couple of attacks, combined with like abilities and stuff, then I don't know. I think I could definitely see this being I mean, the longer combat goes on for, the more of a nerf it is. Like it goes from being buffed to nerfed. So yeah, as an opener, it is better. Steraks is losing it's gaining 15% tenacity, but it is losing that tenacity within the shield, which gave 30% for 8 seconds when it procced. The size is also going down by 15%, so I would argue this is better. Just having like the base tenacity is better, like the 15% tenacity is better than the 30% at 8 seconds when the shield procs, because you are at 30% health there, and oftentimes you will just die like not too shortly after. So I think that's a bit of a buff, but
I can't tell if that 0% tenacity is just a bug.
it's a bug. It's not supposed to be there. Because the original has 30% tenacity on the shield, this one doesn't. But they left the tenacity text in because obviously they just hadn't removed it yet. So you're only gaining 10% size upon lifeline. So this is kind of just like dead. This doesn't exist. This like thing of text here. So it's like, would you rather have 30%? Would you rather have 30% tenacity at 30% health, or would you rather have just flat out 50% tenacity?
I would take the 30% personally,
Really?
because just playmaking potential. Like I think some champions which
Maybe.
can build it can bait people in being low, and then they gain the shield tenacity. They just become really strong at that instant. I think it's still very good. I think the tenacity flat is way better than before. So I would prefer the new item only if they upped a little bit the shield, by like
Yeah.
maybe 85% bonus, and I think that would make the item a bit better. But overall, it's still very strong. I think a lot of champions will be using it.
Yeah.
I think me personally, I would be building it on Aurelia. I think it's very strong right now.
Fair enough. Stridebreaker. So this is losing 10 attack. Well, it's going down 200 in cost. It's losing 10 attack damage. The attack speed is staying the same. The health is going up by 25. The haste is completely gone. Temper, which is heroic gate, has just been moved. No, actually, it's 20% movement speed, 20 movement speed for 2 seconds, not 20%. And runs at 3 seconds. And on activation, you still get the cripple, which is slow nearby enemies by 30%, and gain 30% bonus movement speed per champion hit that delays it for 3 seconds. Can move or casting. I've just realised something. There is no damage number on this. This doesn't do damage.
I mean,
this is enough, no?
yeah.
No, like,
I don't know.
I think they've killed Stridebreaker, actually. So
You lose 10 AD, you lose the
the
ability
haste.
haste. Yeah, I mean, this is just for CC purposes, but at that point, why even keep the AD in? Like, no champion that would build AD would actually build Stridebreaker, in my opinion.
I disagree. Stridebreaker in its current state is a really, really good item. Like, don't get me wrong, like, Stridebreaker
Yeah,
is really strong. I don't know if this will kill the item. Maybe I'm overreacting a bit. But it is definitely weaker than, like, I mean, it's significantly weaker than current Stridebreaker. But because current Stridebreaker is so strong, I could see this as being, like, a maybe subpar item. But yeah, losing 20 ability haste, 10 attack damage, and all the damage of the slow, that feels bad.
I mean, again, you're losing 10 AD, ability haste.
Oh, but
and
you're gaining movement speed. I'm being
what
blind.
champions would be able to utilize this?
I mean, Aatrox for sure. Like Aatrox.
Why build this?
But like the attack speed just doesn't really matter that much. Actually, don't mind. I lie. Because you lose the haste, which was one of the big things. I mean, current Stridebreaker is really good on Aatrox, which is why I just instantly think of Aatrox. Maybe Viego. The stat line's not bad. Movement speed's not bad as well for Chase. Nocturne. I think Nocturne will still.
I mean, Nocturne is really good with all the bruiser items, in my opinion.
I mean, Nocturne's just one of the best abuses of them. I mean, yeah, the new item on Nocturne combined with Stridebreaker probably is his core, I imagine. I mean, yeah, you got like loads of other things you can slot in, like a Spear of Shojin, for example. Might not be bad, but yeah, it's a spell amp now, so Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, moving on to Spirit Shojin. So 3,300 gold is now going down to 3,100. The attack damage is staying the same. The health is going down by 200. And the passive has been changed. So your non-ultimate spells gain 15 ability haste, which is less than the flat amount of this one, and it doesn't scale anymore. So that's interesting. There is no you're not being penalized on immobilizing spells now though, which is pretty big. So if you have a lot of immobilizing spells within your kit, this item could be a decent option for you still. And focus spell hits grant stacks up to 4. Your spells deal 3 increased damage for each stack, so that stacks up to 12. This is for melee champions. For ranged, I believe it's 2 or 1. I can't remember off the top of my head. It might be cut in half, actually. It might be like 1.5%. But yeah, Pantheon springs to mind as a significant abuser of this, especially with like Q harass combined with WCC not being like hurt by the reduction on this one.
I mean, yeah, Jax as well.
No,
I think Fiora would actually use it now as well because of the W. She's able to spam it more frequently.
I don't know. I disagree with that. Because you tend to use your W more restrained. You don't use it off CD like the other two do. But yeah, I could definitely see the spell hit one being really good for Fiora on Qs. So might be something there. What about Aurelia?
Aurelia? I wouldn't build this item. And she doesn't really benefit off CD. She's more of a auto tech, Q, get your stacks, and then just spam autos. Yeah. So any like CD is just, it's a bonus. I guess some people like the CD. Me personally, you just want to have as much like movement speed and just want to be able to use your attacks as much as often. But having your abilities up as much doesn't really matter in my opinion.
Yeah.
Unless you're looking for like W like permanently up, so you're able to outplay. But again, you're just more of an auto attack champ.
I'll be interested to see what I imagine there are some really good abusers of the focus will though. I could definitely see some champions being able to stack this very quickly. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm kind of drawing blanks on that, but like being able to amplify your spell damage up to 12% and have more haste on those spells, it for sure is definitely big on someone. No, because W's a toggle. Well, okay, if it works with W toggle, then yeah, because it would be a 12% increased damage to your W, which would be insane. But I imagine it wouldn't work with W toggle. I imagine it will give you 1 stack from your W. Even if you do toggle it, maybe if you toggle it, you don't. And like it's really good with Argot toggle. It'd be interesting to see like if you hit one with E, toggle your W combined with like a hit on Q, then yeah, you're getting all the amp. You don't care about the haste that much, but like the damage isn't bad, especially if it's just like every auto on W gaining from it. But I don't think it will work like that. And even then, the stat line's not the greatest. Like you don't care too much about haste, so probably not. But yeah, like if you do stack it off every W auto, then yes, this has a high chance of being something which you can actually build. Sundered Sky. So this is 55 attack damage, 300 health, 15 ability haste, and light shield strike. Your first basic attack against a champion crits for 150% and heals for 92, 140 plus 140 base. Oh no, that would just be 140 base plus 6% of missing health. Excess healing is granted as temporary bonus health for 6 seconds. So it's good on like Camille. Definitely comes to mind as being like a really strong use of it.
Jax as well.
I don't know so much about Jax.
I would say Jax because you would want, like, you'd use it and then wait for your E. So, like, you would E, and if you're getting hit a lot, you would just proc it, and then you wait for your E to come back up again because you just want your E true. Up.
And you're just looking to, like, consistently trade with it. Yeah, I could definitely see that as being an option. Problem with Jax though, he doesn't tend to build a huge amount of AD, and if it's your first, like, if it's only accounting for the basic attack damage, so it doesn't like apply on hits and stuff to it, then probably not a great Jax item. But if it does like count your W damage and that also crits on top of it, then yeah, I could definitely see that as being a good option. So Blade of the Ruined King, this has been changed ever so slightly. It is now 100 gold cheaper. On top of that, the Siphon when you attacked a champion 3 times, deal a certain amount of damage, and still 25% movement speed is now changed. So your first basic attack against a champion slows them by 30% for 1 second. I think this is a significant nerf. Definitely. Like, you're losing the damage. You're no longer stealing movement speed. So you're not gaining that movement speed, and it's for a second less. So you're 50% of the uptime.
I mean, they were about to nerf it. I think Blade's really strong in its current spot.
I completely disagree with that. I think Blade is a very bait item. But yeah, you can continue.
I think most champions that can build it, right, that aren't, bait champions, utilize it really well. So I think they had to nerf it in some aspect, and I think the way they nerfed it is fine. I don't think losing the damage on it is. I don't think that's bait as fuck. Like, they should have just not removed that damage. Like, fine, not stealing it is whatever, but removing the damage will hurt the item quite a bit, in my opinion.
So why I say this item's bait as fuck is a lot of the champions which do build it, like things like champs like Set just shouldn't be building it. Viego shouldn't be building it for the most part. He doesn't abuse it, as well as like certain other items which he can build. Things like Kraken Slayer, Triforce, those come to mind. Alongside this though, there are good ADCs which definitely abuse Bork. Kog'Maw, Twitch, Varus all really use Bork well as an option. I believe there's one other, but I can't think of them at the moment. Yeah, so there are a good amount of ADCs which can build Bork. And then, of course, the one bruiser who I do believe is their only option really, is Aurelia as a first slot option. I don't think she has any others at the moment. Like, Wits used to be viable, but then over time, I believe it's been changed so much that it's not as favourable. I think that's the case, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think you're forced to go Blade, and any other option, you're kind of just suffering because you don't get the lifesteal. Like, most mythics don't have lifesteal on them. And so the ones that would benefit her specifically don't have the lifesteal, so she's just forced to go into that Blade so she could survive certain matchups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely do. Yeah, no.
I would say, like, Wits and first buy is just better mid lane. Like, if you have AP jungle, AP mid, then you can win spy for sure, and you would benefit a lot from it, but that's the only way you would be able to do it.
Yeah, Bork is good. Ranged champions which can use it. Senna, I think, is the other one. I've seen some people talk about Senna, but I'm not too sold on this. Maybe not. But yeah, the main ones: Varus, Kog'Maw, Twitch. Definitely really good Bork abusers. So it'll be interesting to see how.
Ashe as well. Ashe is very strong with Bork.
You don't tend to see Bork Ashe anymore though. You tend to only see Kraken Triforce or Triforce Kraken. I don't remember the last time I saw Bork, because Bork tended to be her on-hit variation, and as her on-hit Ashe doesn't really see play anymore, I just don't really see it. So, yeah. Death's Dance is going down in cost by 100 gold. It is losing 5 armor, and I believe that is the only 2 changes towards the item. Pool is
a huge buff in my opinion then.
What, losing 5 armor for 100 gold cheaper?
Yeah, I would say that's a huge buff.
I know. Problem is, I think Death's Dance in its current state is bad. Like, Death's Dance is a really bad item. Like, unless you are consistently able to, like, snowball, it feels really awful to have this item. Because it just doesn't do a huge amount. Like, it's a stat stick, because the healing has been nerfed so much. And even the ignore pain, like 30% over 3 seconds, it doesn't do a huge amount at the moment. But, like, yeah, the main things, if you can snowball, obviously, and you're consistently able to get the heals and then the ignore pains. So, like, into high burst games where you are able to snowball, yeah, it's still decent as an option. So, like, I mean, Viego's talents
earlier as well.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's most likely going to be an item 3-4, still going into the new season as well. I don't really see it changing that much. I still think the item's just not great, even with this change. GA, so I think they've killed GA with this change, so it's gone up in cost by 200. Obviously, it's got no stopwatch in the build path. The attack damage has gone up by 10, and the armor's gone up by 5. Upon taking lethal damage, restore 50% base health and 100% max mana over 4 seconds, which... I don't think the max mana matters. Like, you're not usually burning through 30% of your max mana either before you die again or before the fight finishes. So, Yeah, I don't see how this is ever worth.
I think it's still like last item. Obviously, you'd
Yeah,
build
I
it.
mean,
'Cause at
that's
that point
anyway.
you're already like very strong in my opinion. But the way I see it as well is personally, I think it's better. Like the 200 gold for 10 AD and 5 armor, I think is pretty good
But
again
you
for that
lose
last reward.
stopwatch in path. There's no stopwatch, so
But
you're
at that point in your last item, right, you're already pretty ahead, in my opinion, if you're building it as a last item. But yeah, I don't know,
yeah.
building it like third, fourth, I don't think is ever worth. It's just always a last item resort.
In my opinion, because you can't go like stopwatch into GA, which is what a lot of people do on current
Yeah.
live, it's just gonna feel horrid as an item. And like for the most part, you are just gonna want the BF sword first, as like you're getting access to just a lot more damage than the other item, which I can't remember the name off the top of my head. So overall, I'm just not sold on this. Like I think the stat line's bad for an item. Yeah, the revive is good, but like no stopwatch in build path just makes it feel so bad. And for 3.2k gold, you'd just be better off getting a strong item for cheaper and then getting pots earlier on. So that's the way I see it.
Mm.
A couple more items here. So Ravenous Hydra is now 100 gold cheaper. It has 5 more attack damage base. It's lost 20. It's lost 5 ability haste. Lifesteal's still on it for 10%. Cleave is still 40% of physical damage. And now has the on activation deal 100% of your base AD, or 100% of your total AD to enemies around you. I think this is enough, honestly.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Like losing 20 AD. So you're losing 85 down to 70 for what 100 gold cheaper, and arguably that like yeah you get the on activation, so to deal a bit more damage. So yeah there's room where maybe this is better. Especially if you're getting like big activations and your Ravenous isn't stacked. But if you are running a stacked Ravenous, which very often people were just running full stacked Ravenous, then I'd say it's weaker as an option. Yeah, I do think it's weaker as an option.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't know. I think especially Cleave not applying like lifesteal is huge in my opinion. I think that just kills it a bit.
No,
I mean, it did it before as well. It did it
Cleave will
before as well.
benefit
Yeah.
from Cleave will benefit from
Oh, well,
lifesteal.
what benefits? Sorry, I misread that then. I don't know. I think the item's alright. If some champions will still utilize it, like Riven,
Yeah,
but it won't be as strong as before because obviously you're losing that huge AD portion and a little bit of ability haste.
yeah. I think if they kept the ability haste on it, then it would be I'd say probably about the same, maybe power positive, but I think in its current state, it's slightly power neutral, power negative. I think that's kind of where it's at now. So Titanic Hydra is gaining, well, it's staying the same price. It's gaining 25 attack damage. It's gaining 50 health. The Colossus gain bonus attack damage equal to 2% bonus health is gone, I believe. Instead, your attacks apply additional 10 physical damage plus, with 5% health ratio on hit and deal 20 plus 3% health ratio to enemies behind the target. So I believe this is weaker than current Titanic.
I don't know. It just depends on the champion. I think for Cho'Gath, it's a nerf. Some Cho'Gath players would build it obviously
Why
for the
would you
mass
build it
amount
on Cho'Gath?
for the
You just go
huge AD
demonics.
portion.
Scion is the main loser here. Scion and Mundo for sure. They were like the
I mean,
best
yeah,
losers.
2 champions, but I think more champions will be able to build it now. I don't think it's as inclusive because more
Oh
AD now.
yeah, with the with more AD and more baseline health, it's definitely a lot more open towards other champions building it. Especially now that the Colossus is gone, which kind of sucks. Like I really like this as a passive. Gaining attack damage to bonus health. This does hurt Scion, so the Hullbreaker getting changed, which really benefits him. Titanic, I mean, it's still going to be a strong option on him, just not as good as current one, I don't believe. So yeah, overall, I think for high health stackers, bit of a nerf for but more open to broader options of builders. And then finishing off with Trinity Force, so staying the same price. 40 attack damage is now 45. 33% attack damage is staying the same. 300 health, 20 ability haste. Free-fall strikes is gone. Spellblade is staying the same. You are gaining about 200% base damage on it. Quicken is the other thing on this, which is for 20% movement speed for 2 seconds, which is worse because it used to be 20% movement. I keep saying 20%, 20 movement speed flat for 2 seconds when it used to be 20 movement speed flat for 5 seconds. Overall, I think this is a huge nerf towards Trinity.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, for sure.
Like losing
Free-fall strike
losing 3-4 strikes like for 5 AD and losing a bit of the movement speed of Quicken. I mean, it is a big nerf. I understand that the overall their goal is to reduce the power level of the mythic items when converting them to legendary, but a lot of these are pretty heavily hit when like there were other like legendary options which did contest with them. So it'd be interesting to see where like Trinity Force lands. Of course, Sheen now 1k gold, not 700, so arguably slightly worse off as like just picking up that like early Sheen. Some champions will benefit from this though now that it does have 10 haste back on it. Things like Gangplank I believe is probably better off with this. That'll be for like Essence Reaver if that is the same recipe. I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, Trinity Force. I mean, it'll be interesting to see who can go it. You want someone with good base AD. And someone who can like get good use and access out of all the stats, but it is a very high cost for not what I'd call the best item. So
yeah,
like if it had a bit better stat line, then I do think this would be out there. So yeah, those are the items. Thanks for joining me. Greatly appreciated.
No problem.
Yeah. So I will end it here. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. That's such a dark way to end. I don't know what it was. Yeah. Thanks guys for watching. Right, see ya.